Good morning and welcome to the Sunday morning service of Memorial Baptist Church and Chinle Res Church Online. Hey, let's jump in and get started this morning because you were born to be more than you are. Now, is that a bold statement or is it a jaded cliche? Is it a compliment or a complaint about your work ethic and talent? Let's be accurate. Whether you like it or not, the statement, you were born to be more than you are, is a difficult, harsh consideration of the truth that you are not who you were intended to be. You are less than you were meant to be. You have an inner Satan that intends to keep you that way. Here's some hard reality. Life is unfair. Life is unjust. The world is lining up against you. People are going to let you down. Love will be lost. Dreams will be broken. The image of your perfect world will be shattered. You will feel like giving up. You'll wonder if it's all worth it. As if this reality isn't bad enough, there will be pain, plenty of it. Emotional pain, physical pain, pain from others, self-inflicted pain, random pain that can't be explained. Some pain will be deserved, and some will feel like fate has chosen you to punish and torture personally. Who is this inner Satan that lives so cruelly inside of you? Why does your inner Satan work so hard against you? Where did he come from, and what does he want? Is he some demon from hell that wants your soul? Is he a part of your subconscious that has been unfairly pounded into you by the faults and failures of your early childhood experiences? Let me begin to explain by telling you a very old story. Long ago, when humans first stood on this planet, human nature was not what it is today. It was not frail, nor was it fallen, and it was certainly not weak. It was bigger, stronger, deeper, and multidimensional. Our nature was both human and divine. And while we walked on this earth, we were able to interact with Yahweh Elohim, who is the one true God, and the beings we know as the sons of God, and that we commonly call angels today. Our first ancestors had a nature that was divinely connected to Yahweh Elohim, and that nature was not based on good and evil or right and wrong. With our degraded human nature, we can't truly comprehend what the divine nature would feel like or how we would act or interact with each other and with heavenly beings without basing everything on the principles of right and wrong. We make decisions and choices and evaluations hundreds of times a day based on this system of right and wrong, good versus bad, holy versus evil. What would it be like to be interconnected with Yahweh Elohim, the angels, and every other human without the judgments and evaluations that we make based on our internal compass of right and wrong? You might fairly ask, how did such a drastic and devastating change in our nature happen? The Bible tells us of a created being who was far more ancient than the newly formed humans. This creature approached these new humans as an enemy in disguise. He came with lies and deceit. He showed us a better way to live, and we rejected our divine nature. We traded in our original nature, based on our relationship with Yahweh Elohim, for a lesser nature based on the principles of good and evil. And life has never been the same. Our perception of the world, each other, and of Yahweh Elohim changed, and we became spiritually nearsighted, only able to see what is directly in front of us. We could no longer directly interact with Yahweh Elohim. We couldn't initiate contact or communication with the angels anymore. We no longer knew the constant blessing of Yahweh Elohim as he himself walked beside us. And now we lack his perfect provision in our lives. This being, this liar and deceiver, The serpent seduced our first ancestors into rejecting the perfection that Yahweh Elohim had planned for us. And he wrecked the relationship that was able to make us everything we were meant to be. And life became difficult, painful, miserable, malevolent. Each time we fail, every time we make a mistake, in every instance that we choose evil instead of good, the serpent is there accusing us before Yahweh Elohim. He is our constant adversary. He's Satan. His very name means adversary, and he is not alone. For you see, he's not all powerful like Yahweh Elohim is. He's not all knowing as Yahweh Elohim is. He's not able to be everywhere and every time as Yahweh Elohim is, because he's a created lesser being than Yahweh Elohim. He's got this dirty little secret that he keeps hidden from us, a little secret that has big consequences, a secret that amplifies our adversary, Satan, and his power. Satan's dirty little secret is that buried deep within our fallen human nature, we have a personal Satan all our own. The Apostle Paul wrote, "When I want to do what is good, evil is present with me. For in my inner self I delight in Yahweh Elohim's law, but I see a different law in the parts of my body, waging war against the law of my mind and taking me prisoner to the law of sin in the parts of my body." Paul's describing that part of our human nature that accuses us, fights against us, our own personal Satan. Our personal Satan lies to us and deceives us, and he constantly works to keep our relationship with Yahweh Elohim broken. He is a malevolent, violent, unfair, unjust torturer of our body and soul, and he wants you to lose. He wants you to be satisfied with a life that is less. He wants you to trade purpose for comfort. He wants you to be so afraid of the difficulties and pains of life that you withdraw and live a life without hope and meaning. Your personal Satan wants you to be satisfied with just getting by day to day instead of changing the world around you. He wants you blinded to the possibilities and potential that could be yours in this life. Yahweh Elohim has another plan. He knows who you were created to be. He knows everything you can be. He sees the warrior in you. He sees the power in you. He sees you as you win this life and defeat the Satan within you. Yahweh Elohim has given us these principles, a plan, a path to a restored relationship with him. And over the centuries, he has had men record them for us in books that are now ancient, and they're often difficult to understand texts. But Yahweh Elohim wants you back. He wants to walk with you, help you through this life, and help you become everything you were meant to be. We're going to kick down some doors. We're going to break apart some chains and show you how to defeat your personal Satan and win at the game of life. We're going to do this over the next few weeks, but today what I'd like to talk to you about specifically in regard to this is this. And you may not think of this as a biblical term, but it is. Be likable. Does that sound funny? I mean, there's no verse in the Bible that says, be likable. But have you ever been around someone who complains and whines all the time? Not much fun, is it? Personally, I would rather stay home and let my granddaughters put a facial mask on me. I'd rather sweep and mop the kitchen rather than spend time with someone with those traits. I don't like whiners and complainers. If you want to win at life, you need to be likable. Have you ever read the story of Cain and Abel? Abel was grateful and thankful to Yahweh Elohim. Cain grumbled and complained. That story did not end well. You can be the toughest woman in the room. You can be the man that everyone is jealous of. But if you're not likable, you're going to be alone. Ever notice the kid sitting by himself with a frown on his face? No other kids come over to play with him. A brave child approaches and she gives them that frowny, angry look and they go away. Maybe another kid later persists at making friends and maybe they play together for a while, but when the frowny kid wants everything his way, friends disappear. A child that can't make friends, that is unlikable, is going to struggle in life. We watch cities burn and lives destroyed because some say that we are an unredeemable country, founded on racism, and America is a terrible place to live. I was listening to a popular radio talk show a couple of weeks ago. They were talking about the riots and protests that were happening across the country. A woman called in and related how a friend of hers who lives in Uganda had called to ask her if she was okay. I mean, imagine somebody in Uganda where there's all this turmoil calling someone in America and saying, "Are you all right?" Assuring her friend that she was safe and sound, the woman from Uganda said, "I wish my grandparents had been sold into slavery. I would give anything to live in America." You know, that woman from Uganda has likely lived through real trauma and pain and discrimination. The Bible has quite a lot to say about Thanksgiving. In our world today, we would probably use the word gratitude instead of Thanksgiving. But the Bible talks about it in terms of Thanksgiving, and they're roughly equivalent. They're roughly the same thing. When you are grateful, you are thankful. And when you are being thankful, you are being grateful, just sort of by the nature of how things work. 1 Thessalonians says, "Rejoice always, pray continually, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is Yahweh Elohim's will for you in Christ Jesus." Thanksgiving and gratitude lead to a joyful life. I know two sisters who found themselves in difficult life circumstances. A family from across the country took them in and helped them get back on their feet and on a functional, healthy life path. I know two sisters who found themselves. One sister did what she was asked to do. She was pleasant. She was polite. She changed her life around. She never said thank you. The other sister did what was asked of her, and she often did things that nobody asked her to do, but they needed to be done in the house. She was pleasant and she was polite, and she often said thank you or I appreciate that when somebody helped her, something like that. The question is, which sister do you want to take in and help? Which one are you going to be? No one owes you a good life. You don't deserve anything in this life that you have not earned, paid for, or sweat for. Yet good things happen to people. Sometimes we get the good and the desired because someone gives us a helping hand and we haven't had to earn or work or sweat for something. Gratitude is the proper response. Thanksgiving is the correct attitude. If you think you're being helped because someone owes you, it will show in your attitude, and that same person is not likely to help you again. Let me push this a little further today. Yahweh Elohim is more likely to answer your prayers if he likes you. What? Are you saying that God likes some people more than others? Absolutely. Jacob I loved, but Esau I hated, based on nothing but their birth. Romans 1 says that Yahweh Elohim's wrath is going to be poured out on people who refuse to say thank you to him. Philippians 4:6 says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to Yahweh Elohim." In how many situations? Every single one. Yesterday, our food truck was shut down by the Navajo Nation. This message has gotten real personal to me, even though I've worked on it for a while. A woman from the tribe stormed into our food truck when I was out on the other side of the line we had for our drive-through. She ignored our request for her to wait outside for a minute so that we could just verify who she was and why she was there. She pushed her way in without showing any kind of ID. She ignored every social distancing policy. She wasn't wearing the appropriate PPE, the personal protective equipment to ensure the safety of the public that she's supposed to be serving. She literally said, "You can't keep me out. I can do anything I want and you can't stop me." Man, did I have a bad attitude. We shut down. I hated. I walked around to 40 different cars and told them, "I'm sorry you've been waiting in line, but Navajo Nation is shutting us down." I imagined every possible way to fight back and stir up trouble for this lady. Not because we were shut down, but because while we and the community were doing everything possible to live safely and with wisdom, she ignored the very rules and conditions she was supposed to be enforcing. Later at home, I was finishing some cleanup in the barbecue bus. I was praying about the anger that was just threatening to consume the rest of my day. I should have done this. I should have said that. All those thoughts are going through my head. Lots of regret and anger. Then Yahweh Elohim spoke quietly into my mind. "Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good." It's a verse from the Bible. Immediately, a fully developed in my mind plan to lovingly push back was there. I thanked Elohim for the days we had been allowed to open, for the support the community had given us, and for those who worked for me, because I'm convinced that I have the best crew in town. If the other restaurants in town knew how good my people were, there'd be a bidding war for them to go work for somebody else. Do I still believe this woman was wrong in her disdain for public safety? Yes. I'll likely file a formal grievance with her department. She needs to adhere to their own policies, respect private property, and consider the public's health as she goes about her job. But the active anger is gone. A biblical plan has been set in motion, and we're going to carry it out. Yahweh Elohim will either act on our behalf or he won't. I'll be thankful and grateful either way. I'll do this because being grateful is not dependent on circumstances. It's dependent on attitude, my attitude, not some woman poorly representing the Navajo Nation, not on the anger of our customers or my crew. It's dependent on me. I will decide to be thankful and grateful. I'm going to choose to be grateful for what Yahweh Elohim has given me, and I will be thankful for those things that I have not received. Ephesians 6, 1 through, so I got to stop with that, right? I mean, sometimes God doesn't give us things because he sees into the future, and it's a disaster. There's even a country song that talks about being thankful for unanswered prayers, and it's about a guy who goes back to like a 20th high school reunion, and the girl that he was in love with and wanted to marry is there, and she's a cranky, crabby, fat, ugly, just picture the worst person, and he's thanking God for not answering his prayers to let her be his wife. Ephesians 6, 1 through 3 talks about children. It says, "Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and mother, which is the first commandment with a promise, that it may go well with you and that you may enjoy long life on the earth." So if you don't deal with your parents right, they may just kill you. No, not really. But that's kind of the funny way to look at it. Honoring your parents is pretty simple. It can be done by being thankful and grateful for them and to them, even when you don't like their rules or values. Why does this work? It makes you a likable child. If you're a likable child, your parents are going to like you, and others are more likely to like you as well. And doors and windows will open up for you. Learn to be a whining brat, and people won't want to be around you. They won't want to help you. Some may even wish you were dead, and you may not have a long life on the earth. So here's a suggestion for you today. To take this first principle of how to defeat your inner Satan, for how to become a grateful, thankful person. The first thing is make 2 lists. On one list, write down everything good in your life, the people, the things, the circumstances, all the things that you're thankful and grateful for. Write them down. On the other list, put everything wrong with life. List everything that you would like to change. And then here's what you do with those. You keep them and you start letting God know. You just pray and tell God, I am grateful. I am thankful for these things, and specifically mention them. Start listing the things you're grateful for. Be verbal about it. Say it out loud. You might have to find some private place. Talk with Yahweh Elohim and thank others who have made those things possible too. A lot of times there are people in our lives that have made things possible. And consider, have you said thank you? Have you been grateful? Just have you been a likable person, or have you just kind of let it come your way and let it slide? Now take the list of bad things. How can you be thankful for them? Spend some time figuring it out and be thankful as you ask Yahweh Elohim to work on that list of wants, wishes, and desires in front of you. I know it's simple. I know somebody said it before, but they're practical and it works. And then as Yahweh Elohim begins to answer those prayers because you're thankful as you're requesting, change it from the want, wish, and desire list to the blessing list, and just let that one grow. And as things come up in life, put them on your want, wish, and desire list, and be thankful in some way for those things being in your life. Maybe it's that they're a challenge, maybe that it pushes you, maybe that it's something for you to overcome, or maybe it's something that you realize in a short while that there was a reason God said no to those and that you had to deal with those. Maybe they're there because you have a habit or an addiction or something like that. And just recognizing that there is a problem in your life is something that you can be thankful for. Thanks for showing me that, God. Thank you for letting me see this. Now help me with it. And so that's what I would encourage you to do today. I'm glad to be with you on video, at least another week of this shutdown thing. And so, I'm going to try to be thankful and grateful for the time I have to get my honeydew list done, and communicate with some of you by text and things like that. And so I want you to know that I love you and have a great week. We'll talk to you by video again next week. Thank you. Bye.